All right, I've changed again. I put on my whatever Kmart Target generic Australian suburban dad costume. And I want to talk about Labor, the name, the Australian Labor Party that Albo is fleeing from in the guise of a honeymoon. It's not like it hasn't been used before. You know, you're married, and then you nick off on your honeymoon right when there's two Chinese warships, heading for Australia, as you try and silence the youth of the nation. I can imagine the films that are going to be made about this. It's going to be interesting. I always like to think of that. Then as the dust settles of this, exposure of this fucking coup and these atrocities, and when we inevitably force these revolutionaries in gathering around the water cooler, whispers and conspiracy and fucking paranoia sets in, and they're really going to start tearing themselves apart very soon. And I pray for them, and I pray for their families that they don't act up and lash out. Being exposed for war crimes is a pretty horrific thing. And so if you hear anyone, especially Labor representatives, mouthing off at the missus, or you hear glasses smashing, don't hesitate to call the Australian Army. Do not phone the police, because the police they're not really up to fucking dealing with this any longer. And actually, a lot of them are police. So if you hear a police officer, losing his cool, make sure that you phone the Australian Army, and his gun can be, hopefully removed for him, so he's no longer as a threat to the West Australian people. Bad enough that they brought all these fucking Chinese drones here to fly around and spy on you all as you all, mow your lawn and do that stuff. Anyway, what am I talking about? Talk about Labor, right? The Australian Labor Party was forged by shearers. It's Labor intensive under the hot Australian sun in fucking devastatingly hot tin fucking shearing sheds, shearing the merinos of the Australian flock to gather all the wool to send back to the fucking to the motherland to make things like this, like woolen jumpers, right? Woolen jumpers. Now, Labor, miners, we're talking about masons, builders, like fucking salt of the earth, the true blue Aussies that built this country with blood, sweat, and tears. I spent 20 years on the tools in the devastating sun on the biggest sites in Perth, and in a trade that's pretty demanding on the body. I understand a thing or two about Labor. Now, the people that have hijacked this party are not from that ilk. They are doing a trick that only HR and administrators could possibly think of doing. They're declaring that their subservience to a ridiculously new experimental digital accounting and administrative environment, they're classing that as Labor. And it only took them 15 years of that Labor, to get sick of it enough to unite with our most fearsome enemy and attempt to administrate Australia into surrender. No, the HR admin coup of attempted coup of Australia. These people, they wouldn't know what Labor was if it smashed them in the face with a 2x4 or shot them in the back of the head with a nail gun while they were swiveling around in their fucking chairs. It's not the Australian Labor Party. It's a collection of people that have conformed and been, hypnotized by a fleeting moment in the adaptation and evolution of digital administration tools and protocol, and they are kind of backstroking in the expanded bureaucracy of our socialized healthcare systems, education systems, policing, all these things. And their first point of priority is to basically elevate their internal communication system to the only acceptable mainframe system in the country. They don't want anybody making claims like they don't know what Labor is, like they wouldn't know what Labor was if it hit them in the face with the 2x4. They are runaway fucking lunatics. They've kind of drank their own Kool-Aid. They've distributed without question and without any divergence from the very visible plan here that's been unrolling steadily for the last 5 years. They have just basically been sitting at that photocopier, just whatever is received, photocopy it, send it out. Anybody who hasn't used our photocopier to distribute the stuff that we get on our fax machine is an enemy of the state. How there will not be a conversation. Clearly, as the administrators of Australia, we understand Australia more than anyone else. We won't take the independent eyes, ears, and brains and consciousnesses and families and all that. We won't take that into account. We've got it all under control. And this is what's happening. This is, you've got to understand the days of old of the hard-fought wins at the Eureka Stockade and, I don't know, the Medicare I just don't think was one. Medicare was the first example of this. Medicare was a swindle. The hard-working men, women, and children, more than likely, of Australia were swindled by Medicare. The first social media in which every Australian's intimate details are stored in a fucking, a Tupperware container that Albo bought from Aldi, and he keeps in the lodge next to his fucking, I don't know, his getaway mixtape, which is a mixtape filled with music that he will use in his headphones so he can autistically dissociate as he escapes, persecution from the country that he's just tried to fucking invade or corrupt or all the things. If you've seen Baby Driver, that's Albo right now, but I can assure you that, he's going to be well and truly interceded. It's not a good day to be getting on a plane as a fucking, exposed, tyrannical communist party revolutionary in this country. That's why I hope that he's got well and truly a script and he's got his, all his preparations for his soap opera, and, he's clearly got some type of physical, hard and fast evidence that he is indeed just participating in an audiovisual display of what that would look like, and not actually doing it. And I think the intranet that the Australian Labor Party is relying on, which is mostly probably, a WhatsApp group on their iPhone, or maybe just direct messages. Hey, I think he's maybe that guy we thought was crazy is maybe actually real. What are we going to do about the bodies? And by bodies, I mean dead bodies of Australian citizens that have fucking been killed or murdered or, all kinds of fucking fucked up shit. And that's all held. We have a lot of that. We know where they are. You guys are really going to start fucking feeling that sun beating down on you, the sweat dripping from your fucking every pore as you realize that Australia is waking up and is activating in a system that you don't understand. The most cutting edge tool in defence force activity that, of course, was kept very far away from anyone that would possibly think about, perpetuating a communist uprising in this country. It's very deeply, ingrained in this country about what's going to happen. You're going to see the effects of it all over the place. It's not going to pop up in your inbox or in your in tray. You know what I mean? It's not going to be discussed at the board meeting of your whatever particular part of this monstrosity government system that you happen to be sitting in. It's not going to be discussed at the Take 5 on your fucking mining job or on your construction site. It's going to be felt in the hearts and minds of every Australian as they realise
the swindle that was being attempted. That was really easily deflected. And we've forced a hand. We've forced the hand of, the communists in China. They think long, but the problem is that we are impatient. So we like to fucking rush the gate. And by rush the gate, I mean imprison every fucking suspected CCP agent in the country immediately, and interrogate them using whatever means to intercept all type of sabotage activity or all these types of things. So it's not a good day to be a CCP spy in Australia. It's not a good day to be assisting CCP spies. It's not a good day to be an administrator in an attempted coup. It's a good day to fucking put some sunscreen on, sit outside and enjoy a Kirk's lemonade. You know what I mean? It's really sad that a country built on blood, sweat and tears and dedication of majoritively men, a party built on the blood, sweat and tears of a nation of majoritively men, has been overthrown by a bunch of fucking purple-haired feminist, fucking Marxist, I don't know, and the male folk that seem to gather with them in these cushy, air-conditioned positions that have been basically handed out like sausage sizzles, except rather than paying for a sausage sizzle, you get paid for having a sausage sizzle. And what can we expect? The country sat there as every fucking small business was shut down, as Bunnings Warehouse closed down every hardware shop on the money that they made from building a Fremantle asylum, which was one of the first examples on Australian soil of a created incarceration technique that is still utilised by every state and every region of this country to basically torture, interrogate, hold against their will, incarcerate, all these things using the same technique. It's a real mess. It's a real mess. And anyone who's ever dealt with HR staff or admin staff or fucking whatever, human research, all the things anywhere, it's like, that little power trip they have. Well, they legitimately really thought that their spreadsheets and their fucking, their QuickBooks and their email chains and their little closed board meetings and their team building sessions and their bubble fucking charts. All the stuff that we were made to do in school, colouring in and all that shit. That's it. That's environmental formation. It's mass formation of colouring in, teacher's pet, administrators. And, I've known it since I was in primary school. I knew what was happening. I was like, I'm really smart and I can build things and I know things that people don't know. Why are the girls that can colour in correctly and that do everything the teacher says, why are they getting fucking so much praise, including some really weird, inappropriate praise that, I'll speak about it another time. It's a created environment of kind of feminist pandering. And, if the CCP stepped in at full force and attempted to bolster this coup, then we'd probably be in a bit of trouble, but they can't. So we're actually the sacrificial lambs. And I will say that, I have put the Australian population of men, women and children at risk by making us the sacrificial lambs. And we deserve that, because most of you are that whingy and fucking complaining about the beautiful country that we have. You take it for granted and you have this false sense of entitlement that you are here and can throw your weight around. And, 4 generations of my family have fought and died to protect this land. So it's about time that you all feel that same sweat and chill run down the back of your neck as we're lured in front of the CCP while our
AUKUS counterparts really fucking move into position to absolutely obliterate that fucking Xi Jinping and his communist fucking slave army. You know, it's time for Russia to fucking, you know, get the message and chip in. You know, send a couple of missiles south or east or whichever way it is. Yeah, we don't fight wars with administration, especially in a world where that administration has just slowed down evolution and adaptation. It's the same old story. The administrators are always the last to know because they're keeping the system slow, laborious, and basically they're skiving, bludgeon cunts that have infiltrated every fucking aspect of our lives and our society and are sitting there living off the fat of this land that has had to be, you know, presented here as this juicy worm. And it didn't have to be like this. People that are innovators, people that criticize, this usually some of the most valuable people that we have, and they've been absolutely neglected and ignored and abused and traumatized and tortured to create the vacuum for this invasion. It's a very long strategy, 40, 50 years minimum. More likely it's 80 years. Really nasty stuff. You know, for every Australian man that sits there and goes, why am I told on these things? But really the reality I'm living in is absolute. Well, that's why. Why is trying to raise a family in this country so difficult? Well, because they don't want the intuitive, instinctual defense mechanisms to activate in Australian fathers. They want us fucking dancing around in women's clothing and fucking, you know, drugging ourselves on ecstasy and fucking heroin and fentanyl and fucking, you know, staring out the window, dribbling on ourselves. You know, anything as long as we don't say, hang on a second, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm out of here. I quit. Pretty fucking simple. I've done it tons of times. You know what I mean? It's time to do it. Do it with a bit of pizzazz as well. If you're in one of these offices and these administrations, these things, they're not going to be there long. You know what I mean? You only get one real fucking chance to get this handball of a lifetime. I'll just mention as well that I just heard from the Tasmanian Premier that the AFL Women's League in Tasmania is going to be referred to as the Jewels. I think it's wonderful because it's what I called my children's mother for the entire time that I knew her. I called her Jules. Now I can't call her at all because I'll be put in prison if I do. But yeah, I think it's a bit of, you know, cosmic alignment that they've decided to name that the Jules. And my eldest son has a little high school sweetheart himself, which is what his mother and I were. And she is pretty much walking into, I think, a draft pick very soon for the women's AFLW. So I'm trying to put the nod in. I don't know if I can pull the strings and be like, well, can we sign a futures deal or something like that, to a development deal? But anyway, it's not really my purview. That sounds like administrative fucking nonsense, doesn't it? I'm just basically celebrating the go-getter spirit of the Tasmanian people, and I think it's a really appropriate name, the Tasmanian Jewels. A lot of this trouble, I think, would have been not seen if herself and I had made that journey to Tasmania that we had planned for 6 years. But cosmic forces came and tore us apart in the form of another high school sweetheart, which sometimes happened. But you know, let's not read too much into it. But yeah, it's an interesting day to be an Australian, I think. I like to keep it lighthearted. This is a really serious thing that's going on right now. But in every field of war, in every conflict that we as British people or as Australians, as Anzacs, as whatever you want to align with, there is always a big dose of humour and lightheartedness, despite, you know, hideous atrocities and trauma and you know, the conflicts of war that sometimes are unavoidable, but let's keep that up. You know, the dry, fucking humorless, constantly offended bureaucrat brigade that have attempted this coup, they want nothing like that. They don't want you laughing or giggling in the back seats, you know, or the back seats of the classroom or on the bus or on the train. They want you fucking head in their fucking propaganda and doing exactly as they're told. And that's why we're going to rub it in their face by humorously making fun of how retarded they are until they, you know, surrender en masse and hand the keys back to the rightful owners of Australia. Pretty simple request, you know what I mean? None of this needs to end violently, despite the fact that you have indeed trespassed into every single thing that true Australians hold sacred for a very long time. But look, we can get past this, but we need the keys to be handed up now. You need to take your fucking hand off the wheel. You're all drunk. You're all under the influence of Chinese TikTok fucking insanity and more than likely pharmaceutical drugs and SSRIs and fucking, I don't know, woke fucking LGBTQ fucking brainwashing techniques, MK Ultra, whatever the fuck it is, whatever you want to call it, you're not well. Yeah, this country wasn't built by administrators. It was you know, established by administrators that usually had a bit of experience in real physical reality, either building or farming or construction or manufacturing or something like that. Or really serious academic exploits and things like that. There wasn't a lot of administrated, you know, collective communists. It's really a disgusting manifestation that stemmed from this first period, the Web 2, the decade of Web 2. This is Web 2. Right, and we're heading into Web 3. And Web 3 is very, very interactive. It's a two-way street. It's actually a seven-way, you know, fucking interdimensional super highway that really will elevate the voices of the dispossessed and streamline processes for autonomous development of ingenious solutions to the problems that have been mostly created by this administration class. When we try and shift Australia as one big glut, right? We're all fucking been pushed through the same fucking Play-Doh fucking extruder in the form of public education, and it's really nasty and bad. But we have access to these tools, and when we learn to use our voice and express ourselves, and we're allowed to freely without the fear of being imprisoned. I wonder why anyone would have the fear of being imprisoned in this country. You know what I mean? I wonder why anyone would have the fear of talking to our politicians when they've seemed to just literally ignore the whole thing. These are criminals. These are really fucking serious criminals. You know, I will not stop. I will continue breathing down their neck and fucking, you know, marching headlong towards their fucking offices until they really fucking get the fucking message. I would wish nothing more than a tank load of fucking Australian Army or fucking British Army or whoever or US Marines to come and pick me up, and I'd ride on the front of the tank and drive right in the fucking offices of the West Australian Labor Party and really, really show them. But that's a nasty message. It's a nasty image. This is way better. This is the future. It's communication like this. If we have to, we'll do the tanks, we'll do the fucking bombs, we'll do the invade, all that shit, you know, everything, and all the stuff that you've never even heard of. We'll do it. But my hope is that we can get this done like this. You know what I mean? In a timely manner, timely fashion. It's my birthday in 3 days. And by my birthday, I hope to be celebrating a complete victory on the defence of Australia and the re-establishment of a beautiful, thriving Commonwealth system of democracy, not of this fucking digital imprisonment, fucking digital fucking concentration camp administration, fucking wet dream, communist fucking nightmare. So if you happen to get wind of this and you know one of these people, put pressure on them as well. Join in. It's like the Macarena. It's just like the Macarena, except instead of doing this, you do this. You tell the Australian Labor Party, if they don't fucking pull their heads in and surrender, We're going to kill them all. I'm not exaggerating. I swear to God. It's like, I want to go door to door. Are you the Australian Labor Party? Like, that's who I am in a previous iteration of this. So there's a lot of control, not coercive control, a lot of self-control to be able to hold all that in. My family has been tortured and fucking tormented and attempted to be destroyed, and all this shit. This is the most sacred thing that I have. If I was the King of Tasmania and I did have the power to call the women's Australian AFL team the Jewels, in honour of my children's mother, then that's not coercive control. That's a gesture of fucking loyalty and a gesture of goodwill to one of the hardest working people I know, who really is the unspoken voice of this Labor administrative class. Hardest working administrative person I've ever met. Dedicated to whatever employer, like above and beyond really what she does, what she should really be doing for those people. But, left in the pit, used as a tool, encouraged and coerced into fucking stripping her family around, unfortunately exposed to hideous alcoholism and addiction. This is terrible. To the Dutch and the fucking Polish and the fucking European fucking newcomers to this land, standing in these administrative tasks, and the English as well, throwing their fucking weight around, while, as always, an Irish fucking mother of fucking three is getting the fucking beating of a lifetime by all you fucking stuck up little cunts. I've seen it my whole life. Yeah, this is Mean Girls fucking snobby fucking wanky bullshit. If you want to fucking participate in it, go back to fucking Europe and just get on the fucking OnlyFans with the Ukrainian fucking girls that have done the same thing. But don't you fucking sit there and think that this country and the women of this country aren't going to fucking chase you down in every fucking shopping mall and fucking rip your fucking hair out. Because I've seen them do it. They're vicious. But like I sit here and, I turn it on myself and sit on my hands, they do the same. They turn it on themselves with drugs and alcohol or fucking whatever it is. They get in these horrible relationships, trying to do what theirs best to thread the needle of acceptance in the feminine world and in the masculine world, and they get stuck at the bottom of the pile as you just plow in with your fucking blonde hair and your fucking Louis Vuitton bags. You can fuck off. The Celtic women of this country, of all fucking countries, they are vicious fucking warrior women. The Scottish women, they are vicious fucking warrior women, and they're going to fuck you up. I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to say the things against women. You know what I mean? I don't wish harm on any women, but I wish liberation for the Australian women of all denominations, of all nationalities, of all religions that have been held down by this fucking selective fucking absolute snob fucking fest of European imported fucking bullshit. And I can't wait to see every manifestation of female fucking rage, female on female, absolute decimation in every fucking street, in every shopping mall, in every fucking school pickup, everywhere, every classroom. Because if that's what men have been doing for a long time, so if there is a female equality movement, well, I'd like to see the fucking manifestations of it, girls. Let your hair down, have a couple of fucking voddies, couple of shandies, and get fucking yapping. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to dig your fucking nails in and pull the hair and do all the shit, and all the men can just step the fuck back. Any man seen to be interfering in a female, conversation, whatever it's being held at, violence or pull a hair or whatever it is, get the fuck out of it. You're not fucking Superman, cunt. Yeah, stay the fuck out of it. The women are going to sort this out, how they do, and this is full fucking permission from the British Empire to get moving, girls. That little stuck-up bitch that's fucking throwing her weight around at the fucking thing, always trying to do this. It's time. It's time. Key her fucking car, smash her windows. I don't give a shit what you do. You know what I mean? Just get creative. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I might end with 5 words because, as I said, end on an educational note. I learnt that from the BBC, which this is going directly to, and they will chop up and edit this so that it's acceptable for mass broadcasts, which they're pretty good at. You know, this isn't anything like Donald Trump. The United States of America are a hideous fucking revolutionary force in themselves, and we're not, you know, we don't have anything to present their president in any light. You know what I mean? We can do whatever the fuck we want. They've betrayed our nation and our kingdom for a long fucking time. They've projected their fucking shit across the fucking world in sneaky bullshit ways, and the BBC is really the backbone of British culture. So I trust them to do a good job at shining me in a good light, whatever that is. And I remind everyone that I'm just using my words. And I'm in a safe space, a safe environment where I can vent my fucking fury. You know what I mean? I wish nothing but the best for everyone except people that are trying to do us harm. Now, 5 words. The first word is prosecution. Law. The institution of carrying on of legal proceedings against a person, the body of persons by whom such proceedings are instituted and carried on. The following up of any matter in hand pursuit. What a fucking great word. Prosecution. So am I the prosecution? Probably, yeah. I don't know much about the law. If I could get a KC to just shore that up, am I the prosecutor? Yeah, I'm not the defendant. I'm the prosecutor. I'm the one putting the fucking charges down. Of course, fucking Jesus. Alrighty. Downright. Thorough, absolute, out and out, direct, straightforward, completely or thoroughly. Downright. This is downright fucking happening. This is downright, you know, British Empire democracy being distributed here right now. Downright. What a fucking great Australian term. Sloppy. A colloquialism. Weak, silly, or maudlin colloquialism. Loose, careless, or slovenly. This has been a absolutely sloppy fucking coup. Which sounds like something that you'd fucking, you know what I mean, find in your child's nappy. But most of these people don't have children. So they don't understand what a mess is. They don't understand all these things. They've never fucking, you know, had to clean nappies or fucking be spewed on. They literally think that this country is built for them to manifest their best fucking life, their independent fucking online delusion of self-importance. And that has led to a very, very sloppy coup in the grand scheme of things. I think there's 2 more. I'll do 2 more anyway. And there might be a bonus word here. So let's go here. Distance. It is a great distance that most of us have travelled to be residing now in Australia, except the Aboriginal people. So I'll take a moment to recognise the traditional owners. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to welcome you to country yet. I think they've been throwing this welcome to country around a little bit too frivolously. Yeah. The Aboriginal voice that I understand is like, no, we're not welcome. We weren't welcome as the British Empire, who did a lot of things and still do and pay them and do all this shit. Like, you're sure as hell not welcome if you're a fucking, you know, communist administrative attempted coup instigator. So, no, I acknowledge the traditional owners, but I don't welcome anyone to this fucking country unless you were seen to do the right thing by the country, by its land and its people. That's simple. Package deal. The British Empire and the Aboriginal people, we're a package deal down here. Now, a lot of Aboriginal people aren't going to agree with this, but that's the way it is. Okay? There is an element of colonisation, of enforced authority. We're an empire. We're a big fucking group of people. We've got concerns of people spread out that used to a quarter of the earth. But we do not sit here on sole authority. We sit here as a package deal. Whatever is done in this land needs to be good for the British Empire, and it needs to be good for the Aboriginal people. Right. That is Australia. That's what Australia is in 2025 on December the 1st. It's a package deal. Now, to do this, to understand this, we need to get better at communicating. And it's very complicated. And it's hard enough as it is between this, you know, this long-standing treaty. Really, like, maybe they don't accept it as a treaty. Maybe we even officially said it's a treaty. It is a treaty. You know, we pay and educate and fucking do all this. No, although, you know, not the best because of this ridiculous system. But
we're very, very wary to not oppress the Aboriginal people. And it's actually this administration that has been the most harmful thing to the Aboriginal people. So this package deal is unbreakable. There is no white Australia policy. That's ridiculous. The British descendants here, who might have been white as fucking fresh drawn snow, is it fresh as freshly ploughed? I don't know. Freshly fallen snow on the fields of fucking Oxfordshire. A couple hundred years and we get pretty dark, and we are going to get dark. We are going to turn into black people. So there is no white Australia policy. That's fucking nonsense. It's an absolute fucking ridiculous joke. Our job as British descendants of the original pioneers of this country is to make sure that we stand firm in our Britishness, and we make sure to protect the aboriginalness of the traditional owners and the traditional descendants of Aboriginal people. And that's going to get more complicated as we inevitably, due to the forces of evolution and adaptation, as we inevitably start to appear more Aboriginal. This place makes Aboriginal people. There's no doubt in my mind that its traditional owner occupancy before we arrived here was a collection of the entire world's people. Distributed or in a random, chaotic fashion. If we were mass, sacrificing all these things, we've been sending people on boats, and there's been shipwrecks and all these things for a long fucking time. Okay? So this place turns people into Aboriginals. That's what it does. But we as British descendants, we will maintain our Britishness. We will maintain an everlasting connection with our homeland. And this is held with the National Trust on our estates and our land holdings that we hold. We are the traditional owners of those places. And we are acting here as servants to the entire British Empire to keep this place from going to hell. And by hell, I mean the fucking Foxconn fucking Apple factory in fucking China. We've learnt our mistakes from our over-industrialization, from our, over heavy-handed military techniques, heavy-handed incarceration, all the things that we've done. And we speak about it non-stop in all of our institutions, and it's constantly referenced and re-referenced and re-referenced and documented and stamped and rubber stamped and then brought up again and then discussed over and over and over again. This gives a false interpretation that we are the most horrific entity that's ever existed on the earth, but we're not. We just talk about it, and we're open to discuss our mistakes. This can only happen in a free and open democracy with free speech being held as the pinnacle of our societal evolution and our civilized example to the rest of the world. This is not what Chinese people under the rule of the CCP experience on a daily basis. So, yeah. All of this being held in a word, isn't it? Labour. It's actually spelt wrong, which is weird as well. Labour means labour. It means blood, sweat and tears. If you would like to start a national party for administrators and human resources, I suggest you do that. There is one for the shooters and fishers. There is one for the cannabis party. There is one for the Greens, obviously, and for the National. There is all types of parties that that have traditionally gathered a select group of Australians to represent them in Parliament. Labor is not the place that you should be if you are doing this control system. The control systems in the administration, all these things, is what the Australian Labor Party has been pushing against for 100 and however long years. It's that simple. You're using the wrong word, you're using the wrong party, you are obsessed with the colour red because your communist overlords have made it that way. But I assure you, if there isn't a mass surrender by the Australian Labor Party, there'll be a very different type of red covering the streets of this fine country. But let's not think about that too much. Let's hope that, common sense will prevail in this land down under.
and that this can go in the history books and be discussed as a administrative dispute rather than an invasion and a mass betrayal or mass treason, which is what it really is. I will speak plainly of these things because I've experienced the depths of it, but I understand that my popping my head above the parapet and constantly critiquing all of you has led to obviously higher level of exposure. But I was testing the ground for everyone. Every single family, every whatever would have experienced the same thing. It's unacceptable. It's also stupid because we need to criticize our system. It's really shit. It's really outdated, really shit, really incompetent and inefficient, and it is leading to mass casualties and mass neglect and mass mistreatment of millions of Australians. So get used to it. Get used to being told plainly by backseat driving beautiful citizens of this country that you're doing something wrong, and start preparing an explanation. Don't sit in your in-group, in your little closed offices in air-conditioned comfort provided by the taxpayers of this country, and expect to create systems that are immune to criticism and feedback, that are insulated from criticism and feedback. Our democracy, all democracies, require criticism and feedback to operate properly. So just get fucking used to it, okay? From whatever age group. I don't care if it's an 8-year-old telling you that you fucking should wear deodorant if you're an Uber driver, or it's a fucking 80-year-old telling you that you've stripped every single freedom that his grandfather and father and uncles fought and died for. Get used to it. We're not fucking leaving. Turn your computer fucking speakers on, turn your fucking volume up on your iPhone, and start listening to the fucking criticisms that this country is projecting at its administrative class. Because if need be, we will not hesitate to resort to, taking these systems offline, which is a polite way for saying blowing you the fuck up. Good day.